Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here. So today we're going to be doing something a little strange. So when I was young, I used to do a lot of archery. I went to archery practice. I had my own bows and arrows and targets, and I regularly practiced. Now that was a long time ago when I was younger and in better shape. So during my absence, there's been a lot of technological advancements in archery. And what we're going to attempt to do is adapt an arrow in a very MacGyver-y kind of way, I guess I'm going to say it. Here, I'll show you. Alright, so let's go over the anatomy of an arrow really quick. So we've got 2 orange and 1 white fletching on the back here. And this is more or less what kind of stabilizes the arrow in flight. And these have been pretty traditional. It's been used for a long time. It's a tried and true kind of concept. But lately we've been seeing a lot of these things called FOBs, FOBs. And forgive me, I don't know what the acronym actually stands for. But if you Google it and you see a picture of what a FOB looks like, it's basically you take the fletchings out. It's a circular device with 3 little veins that go out, and supposedly it allows your arrow to be a little bit more accurate. Now here's the thing. One day, I was having a Dannon yogurt, and I had noticed something, this twist top. Take a look at the back of it. Now, if you've Googled that image of a FOB, you'll see that this looks very similar to a FOB. So I got the idea. What would happen if I took said Dannon yogurt twist top and modified it so that it would fit just like a FOB on the back of this arrow? So that's why I went out and got this cheapo depot arrow, and I've got a number of these little twist tops right here. And we're going to go over step by step as I modify this arrow to shoot a FOB. Well, I don't know if you can really call this a FOB, but let's call it the Dannon Yogurt Project. So let's see how this goes. Alright, so the first thing we got to do is we have to remove the fletchings. So, take my knife here and just kind of gently get at it here. Kind of undo it where the glue is, hopefully. I'll move the camera to a different position because you'll probably get a better view from where it's at right now. So, just like before, we're just going to come at it as low as possible. Good old Columbia River knife and tool. Kiss blade knife, or kiss knife. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay. That's 2 fletchings off. And this one's coming off a little easier. Gotta be careful not to cut myself here. Okay. We now have all the fletchings off. The other one fell on the ground. But you get the idea. So now I have to drill a hole in this, and I'm also going to file this extruded point all the way down to make it look as close to a FOB as possible. Alright, so we're going to need a few different tools to make this happen. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this center punch, and this is going to go dead center inside of what will be our FOB, and I'm going to use the hammer to make a hole so that way when I do drill into this thing, it'll be right where it needs to be to make this as accurate as possible. Then after that, I'm going to take this circular grinder right here that attaches to the drill, and I'm going to file down this extruded part right here to get it as close to a profile of a FOB as I possibly can. Alright, so let's take our center punch and put it in the dead center of our yogurt FOB. And you'll notice the diameter of this center punch is not the same diameter as this outer hole right here. And that's because there's an inner circle that we're focusing on that is smaller than the outside diameter of this, so that's why we have a smaller center punch. And we're going to be really careful here. It's right dead center. Just kind of gently go at it. And we're not trying to create a deep hole here. Because if we go at this too hard, it's going to split the plastic. But what we do have, and you guys probably won't be able to see it, is a nice little base for our drill bit to go into, so that when I do start drilling, it'll be right dead center of this thing. So now we have to take a drill bit and start the process here. So we're going to start with a really small drill bit, and we're going to work our way up until we get about the size of the diameter of the arrow that we're going to be using, as to make sure we do not split the plastic. So let's get in there, get right in where our center punch was. Perfect. All right. We got it right about where we need it to be. And it's just a tiny bit off, but we're going to fix that as we go up in drill bit sizes and see how it works. So let's start getting the drill bits a little more thick. Haha! Alright, we got a size that's just barely big enough to fit over the tip of the arrow. We're going to move it back here, and it should be stopped by this right here, because this plastic part right here is not flush with the rest of the arrow. It stops right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to either JB weld or super glue this sucker in place. But now we got to take this off so that I can file down the rest of this. Just going to tighten it on here. And here comes the fun part. Filing this down. So that's my real cars. Get closer. All right, so we are getting really close to where we need to be. Let's remove some excess plastic. We are getting really close to what it's supposed to look like. Just a bunch of excess plastic kind of needing to be peeled away here, because I think the friction from the heat is removing some and melting other parts that need to be just kind of pulled away here. Now we're just going to polish off. And we have the shape of our fob. Woohoo! Alright. Now, there's still some little plastic pieces, like you can see right on the inside here. Kind of needs to be filed or chipped away at manually with my fingernails here. I can kind of pull it out. I'll probably go at it a little better with something in just a minute, but let's kind of see how everything looks, shall we? Time for the piece de resistance. Getting it back on because it's a tight fit. It's a little hard, but you can get it back on there. And voila, a Dannon yogurt fob, which we're going to have to glue into place because unfortunately the tip right here is not flush. So it made this a little wider than I'd like it to be, but nothing we can't fix. So we're going to use some JB Weld to hold this thing in place, because why the heck not? Not just standard Gorilla Glue, we're talking about a 2-stage super epoxy. And I'm sure you're wearing gloves, because if you get this on you, you're not going to have a good day. I'll show you. Dual extrusions. And we're going to want to plug this bad boy back up as soon as I can. There we go. And we're going to take as much of this, we're going to mix it. Thankfully we're wearing a glove. Now that it's all mixed, we're going to apply it around the circular part of where the fob is going to sit. And notice we got a nice amount of goop. Just push this down, and it's going to take a few minutes to set. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to have this set. This top piece, this metal thing right here, is actually a jack for a car, but I'm able to slide the arrow all the way down. The fob is just big enough to where it doesn't get intruded or doesn't fall down. So it's going to sit like that, the very top there for a little bit. And the JB Weld, since it's a 2-part epoxy, is going to mix together the 2 parts that makes a ridiculously strong bond between anything that it touches. That's why I was wearing these gloves, because, like I said, God help you if you get it on your hand. That's, once it's fully epoxied and set and everything, should not ever come off, theoretically. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about JB Weld, so time to put it to the test. Taking the gloves off here because I want to be able to show you what's going on. And that is going to be the world's first, I believe, Dannon yogurt fob. If I can get my camera to focus, that'd be freaking wonderful. I'm sorry the camera's out of focus. I don't know why this thing doesn't focus properly. But there, how about that? It's just going to sit there for, I don't know, let's give it an hour. And then we're going to pull it apart and see how well it sits. Alright, so it has been sitting here for like an hour, hour and a half-ish. So, come on, camera. Why won't you focus for me? There we go. Let's see. So, okay, it's not the most amazing construction in the world, and it may even be slightly lopsided, but it hasn't permanently set. It can adjust slightly. Point is, man, that's really on there. Okay, so now we reach the end of part 1 of this project. The Dannon yogurt fob is now in place. And yeah, okay, so it's not 100% perfect like a professional fob would be, but this was never about perfect. This was about shits and giggles. And you know, this JB weld is insanely strong. This is just so on there, man. That is like not ever gonna come off, man. You know, like I got some drippage going on. It hasn't like fully set just yet, thankfully. It's right about to be at that point where it's about to be fully set, so I can kind of manipulate it just a little bit and try and get it a little bit more perfect, a little bit more spot on. But yeah, this ain't going anywhere, man. This is staying on there for reals. So all that remains to be seen is to test this. Now, in order to test this properly, we're going to need 3 things. 1, I'm going to need to get another arrow just like this, and we need to use that as a base test because we need to see if there's any difference between the arrows when it had fletchings versus our little Dannon yogurt fob here. And this is awesome. This is going to be fun. But also we need to have a third arrow, one that was properly made with a fob to begin with. You know, something that was, you know, professionally done, not jerry-rigged in a few minutes. Now, here's the problem. You'll notice this is the end of the video. Bummer, right? You're going to have to stay with me here, because I will be making every effort I can to try and make this actually happen. But I'm going to need my friend to help me out. You see, it's been a very, very long time since I've, you know, gotten to practice with a bow and arrow, and because of that, I don't have a bow and arrow anymore. Well, I have an arrow, but no bow. And more particular to the point, I don't have a bow that is designed to shoot an arrow with a fob. Now, fletchings are different. You can shoot an arrow with a fletching out of almost any kind of bow. But because of this plastic piece being in the way, not being really malleable in any sense, it's got to be has a special cradle that's kind of like this, and as the arrow goes down, it drops the cradle because it's just a piece of metal, and I think it's kind of like spring-loaded, so that it allows this to go through. And that requires a special setup. Now, my friend says he has a hunting bow that is able to shoot arrows with fobs, so we're going to get that taken care of, but it needs to be fixed. There's something wrong with the bow at the moment, which is why we're not filming that right now. I've also got another friend who is a championship archer. He was distinguished as a really damn good archer. So I'm going to have him shoot the arrow instead of me. So I got to coordinate between 2 different friends to make this an actual viable test. So with that being said, if you want to see the next part, subscribe. And when I do come out with a video, you'll see it in your subscriber feed, and you'll get to see the world's first Dannon yogurt fob arrow shoot. Now, there is one more problem with this arrow. Its length. This is about 23-24 inches in length. Most bows that I have shot need an arrow that's about 26 inches. So we're going to have to make sure we have a setup that's safe. Because as fun as this is to do and try out, everyone's safety is the biggest priority. And using an arrow that's too short on a bow that's not supposed to be shooting an arrow this short, it's a problem. there becomes a risk of injury, and I don't want that to happen over something like this. So, anywho, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, show your friends, check out my other videos. I got plenty of them. Most of my videos are not about archery, but yeah, this one is. And hopefully, within maybe the next month or so, I'll have a video up. We're gonna go to an archery range with the bow once it's fixed, and I gotta get my friend, who was a much better archer than anyone else I know, to shoot the arrows for me and get some baseline results. So, wish me luck. All in due time, my friends. All in due time.